This is Tech Pulse, the show that keeps you in step with the technological world and one step ahead of everybody else. I'm your host, Harvey Reginald Smith II. Let's start the show. All right. Once again, Tech Pulse for April, 19th, 2013. We're here, we're back, and we're talking about all the tech stories in the news today. So let's kick off and let's just start this thing, because we have a lot of things going on in the tech world today, as every day. And it's good that you joined us here on Tech Pulse, and we're just going to get right into our story for the day to start off. And it's an interesting story to start off with, and as usual, we're going to start with an industry giant, Google. Google made a kind of a stand yesterday. It is on their Google Glass that they have in development, and that they shipped out or allowed their contest winners that a few weeks ago. Google had a few contest winners, 8,000 of them. And Google is saying that they are barring anyone that has bought the $1,500 pair of glasses, the wearable computer. They're barring anyone from or forbidding anyone from reselling or loaning the glasses out to anyone. They said, according to their terms of service on the limited wearable computer, they say that you may not resell, loan, transfer, or give the device to any other person. If you resell, loan, or transfer, or give your device to any person without Google authorization, Google reserves the right to deactivate the device. And neither you or the unauthorized party will be entitled to a refund.
Could you? Someone asked me yesterday where they were watching your show.
Yeah.
And they weren't, because you went right into it.
Right.
Talking about the whole thing. Let me ask you to just explain what this thing is.
What Google Glass is. Okay. And for those of you out there, I'm gonna while I'm explaining, I'm just gonna put up a picture. So for those that don't know, Google Glass is a product that Google. We all know Google, YouTube, the search engine Google. They came out with this product, or they're developing a product known as Google Glass. It's a wearable computer, and for those of you that haven't seen it, here's what I'm talking about. It's a wearable computer that you put on your face, and it gives you information because it's Wi-Fi enabled. It gives you information like your email. Here's the item right here. Gives you information like your email. You can watch video. It has a camera on it. You can also take 720p video. It has 802.11 BNG wireless internet. It also comes with 16 gigs of RAM. 12 of that is usable, that you can store information on. So let's say you're out in the town and you want to capture a snapshot of something that you see that's funny, or you're out with your children, or you're out on vacation. This thing will record 720p video and decent resolution camera images. Also, because it connects to your phone via Bluetooth. If anyone calls, phone numbers will come up. You can answer the phone using Google Glass. You can also use the internet on the go to find people. Google Maps you can use to get directions. So it's basically a wearable computer. And Google has come out with this, as you see here, and they have decided that a few weeks ago that they wanted to beta test this device. So they put a contest out, and 8,000 people were chosen by Google to be the first to get this device and test it out and whatnot. Now, however, the people who Google said, quote unquote, won their contest still had to pay $1,500 for the glasses, which is what it costs. Now, the glasses don't have actual lens frames in them. They're made to work around people who have glasses, people who don't wear glasses and stuff like that. But it's called Google Glass just because it gives you an image that's equivalent to watching a 25-inch TV from about 8 feet away. And all those images you see, whether it's video, you're capturing video, or you're watching something you could download on the internet using Wi-Fi, 3G, and all that stuff. You know, that's what Google Glass is. And Google came out yesterday. And the reason why they said this was because one of the contestants, not contestants, I guess, you can't call him a contestant, but one of the winners, his name is Ed, you know what I'm saying? He lives in Philadelphia. He got his Google Glass. And right away, the guy, Devin, put that thing up on Twitter. And not on Twitter, on eBay. And he was selling it for 5 Gs. You see? He bought it for $1,500 and he was selling that bad boy for 5 Gs on eBay.
So that's why they're coming out with that.
Yeah, right away. So when Google saw that, he said that, this is what Ed said. He said, after getting a message on Twitter from Google saying that I had been selected as a part of the program a couple of weeks ago, it just came to my mind that if they were giving out a limited number, I could put it out there on eBay and sell it for a lot more than $1,500 because no one is going to have it. You know what I'm saying? So this is going to be something that, you know, everybody wants and no one has because only those. So I figured I could go out and sell it. And Google saw it.
He figured wrong.
He figured wrong. And he's saying that he doesn't understand. He said what Google is so upset about. He says people are acting like I did something sacrilegious. Those are his words, that he, you know what I'm saying, that he ransacked a church or something like that. He said that once Ed learned that of the terms of service, he ended the auction, obviously, which began at $5,000. That's what he was beginning the auction at. He obviously ended. And it started at $5,000, and guess what it grew to for this revolutionary device? He had it so far. He started at 5 Gs. It was up to $90,000.
Are you serious?
$90,000. That's what the bid was for these Google Glass. And no one from Google or eBay had contacted him about the auction. He said, you know. But he still wants Google Glass, the Explorer headset, and hopes that Google doesn't hold it against him for trying to sell the device, you know. But right away, he said he's willing to pony up the $1,500 when, you know, these things become available. But he just thought he would get a jump start on the situation.
He's a businessman.
And Google came right out and said, according to their terms of service, that you cannot sell, loan, you can't even lend it. So if you get these Google Glass, Devin, that you paid for, do you think it's right? I mean, because we're not talking about someone approaching you and saying, hey, Devin, I have a new device that I just want you to try. I give it to you free. Go ahead and try it. So they can dictate to you because you didn't pay anything for it, but you had to shell out $1,500. You bought the device.
But you can't sell it to anybody.
But you can't sell it. You can't even lend it. They say you can't lend it to anybody. You can't give it to someone. I mean, can Google really enforce that, even if they put it in the terms of service? I mean, I bought it because remember, and before you answer that, a couple years ago, a man opened up his Apple machine. You know that Apple has no screws on the back of anything. They make it so you can't open it. And this guy opened it up, and Apple took him to court, saying that he violated their terms and he now knows what the guts look like and stuff like that. And the courts threw it out and said the man paid for it. So it's his stuff. He could do whatever he wants. Apple lost that case. So, I mean, what do you think Google is trying to do here?
Apple is nuts and Google are getting nuts too. That's crap. They're going to prohibit or turn people off from buying this. But I don't think anybody's going to listen to that. They can say whatever they want.
Right.
But when you own it, you own it. They
Exactly.
cannot say that you can sell some property that you bought. It's not like they're leasing it.
Right. You know, or they lent it to you.
No.
And they're saying that, look, man, I lent this to you. You can't just go out and sell it. No. Google is saying that in their terms of, you can't even lend this product to somebody. So if someone wants to, hey, oh man, Devin, that's cool. Can I try it on? No. Because if I do that, I have broken the terms of service and Google will kill me. You see?
Yeah.
And that's what their terms of, and you see it right there on the screen. Google forbids sell, resell, or loan of Google Glass. And I mean, I just don't see that Google is going to be able to enforce this. I just can't. I mean, Google is a big company, but so is Apple. And Apple tried. He took the guy to court, and the court said, "What are you talking about? Did the guy pay for it? Yes, he did, Your Honor. Case closed. You know, because he bought it.
Go home.
You go home. It's over. You know, because the guy was like, well, I wanted to see what was in the machine. And matter of fact, he shouldn't even have to explain to anybody. He bought a device. I remember when PlayStation 3 first came out. There were a number of individuals, and you know, Sony kept this technology under wraps for a long time. There were a number of individuals, as soon as they bought their PS3, they busted it open and put it on the internet. They put the guts on the internet for everyone to see. You know, and you know, Sony didn't like it, but what could they do about it? It's his product to do what I bought it. You know what I'm saying? I bought this technology, so if I want to open it up and see what makes it tick, that's what it is. I mean, you can't hold on to the rights of something after you've sold it. You see?
Crazy. That's crazy.
That's crazy. So that's why I decided to start things off with that story, because it just, to me, that just doesn't make any sense. And for the guy who quote unquote won and still had to pay, to me, you didn't win anything. You know what I'm saying? If you still have to pay for those types for anything that you they saying you won. If I won something, then that means that, you know, I should get it free. Not I won it, but I still got to go out and buy it anyway, the same amount of money. Someone come to you and say, hey, you won this brand new car. Okay, that'll be $25,000, please. I didn't win it. You see, this guy has to pay his earned money for Google Glass, and Google is coming out and saying that, you know, you can't even sell, you can't even loan, you can't even let someone else even look at this thing. Otherwise, we reserve the right to brick that device. So they can, because they say that they can tell. And see, now this is where Google Glass is going to be, you know what I'm saying? This is where we're entering into that era where you're going to always be watched. People are going to know, because Google says they are able to tell if the glass is transferred to anyone else. Now, how they're able to tell, they didn't say, but they're able to tell. So imagine I say, hey, Devin, I got this glass, you wear it, and right away the thing is bricked. You know what I'm saying? Because they...
Yeah. Is it Google? Brick.
So they got that thing low-jacked, you see? So what do you think something like that? Now, this report has come out now, Devin. Do you think this is going to... this is because one guy was saying that, you know, if this thing takes off like iPhone, I forget the guy that was talking about it, but he was saying if this thing takes off like iPhone did, that they just don't see Google being able to, you know, control. It was Corey McSherry from the Electronic Frontier Foundation, intellectual property coordinator. He said that if it takes off like iPhone did, this is going to be a part of the way people live their lives. And now we're starting down that path. And that looks like it's going to be, or Google wants it to be, completely controlled. He said, it's not clear to me what they're doing, that what they're doing is unlawful. It's a contract issue, is what he's trying to say. So if that's in the contract, he's saying that, you know, Google has the right to say, well, it's in the contract, you should have read it. But do you think this is going to hamper the sales of this product going forward, now that people know that, you know, this is Google's stance? Google wants everyone to buy their own. You can't lend it so someone else can. So I have a TV in my house, and I know my friend can't afford the TV, so I say, you know what, you having a barbecue? Sure, borrow my TV. And Sony comes and bricks the TV. You know, neither of you can use it now. You know what I'm saying? I mean, is this going to hamper sales of Google Glass, or people not going to care? They're going to buy it anyway.
They're going to buy it anyway. I will. That's nuts. They can't do that. It's not going to work. I don't know. And if they start doing crazy stuff like that, people are going to just go away from it.
Yeah, people are going to lose interest.
Somebody else is going to make glasses, you know.
Yeah.
As soon as it comes out, there's going to be competition. People just go to those people, and that will be a selling point.
Right, and that will be a selling point for those people to say that you can lend it to your friends.
Can you imagine? Own your own glasses.
That you paid for.
Yeah, own it outright.
Yeah, that's crazy. We gotta continue to watch this story and see, you know what I'm saying, what happens. But speaking of Google, since we're on the Google story, Google Fiber. Now, Google Fiber was released in Kansas City a while back. And then recently, Google Fiber took its services to Austin, Texas, where Google said it's going to cost them about $11 billion to develop the fiber optic infrastructure that's there. And part of why Austin, Texas was chosen was because they have a lot of technology companies there. So it would be easier to do it than like in a rural area and stuff like that. But now we're seeing, according to a report, that Google Fiber is on the way to Utah. That's what the report says, that Google Fiber is on the way to Provo, Utah. If anyone lives in Provo, Utah, or you've heard about that, they said Google Fiber is on the way. That Google is taking their gigabit internet service, you know, and they are not giving it, but they're going to be building the structure in Provo, Texas. Google said officially that they were bringing their Google Fiber service to Provo, Utah, according to an announcement that they made. And Provo was selected because it's the home of hundreds of tech companies and startups. And the fact that it already has a ton of fiber in the ground already, courtesy of previously municipal fiber deployments, didn't hurt the situation for Google. And Google said they'll be buying the deployed fiber to home assets of iProvo pending court counsel approval by the 23rd of this month. Now, the thing about it is that the gigabit internet service that was there before, I think they said that one of the operators there, the electric company or something, they were selling gigabit internet service for like, $350, you know what I'm saying, per month and so forth. So now that Google is entering the fray, imagine being able to have the same gigabit internet service. Yes, there was a company called Utopia. They currently offer gigabit connections for around $300, but with Google coming to town and they have their $70 1 gigabit per second Google Fiber connections coming to people's homes, and right now these people have speeds of only 1.5 megabits or slower. I mean, that's typical in what we have here in Florida, 1.5, 1 point something megabits per second. And to get gigabit internet service is going to be huge. So as we see, Google is not letting the grass grow underneath their feet as far as this fiber is concerned. They are on the ball and getting companies involved, getting cities involved quicker than we thought, because they're trying to roll this thing out rather slowly as they prepare for the fact that, this is going to be big. So Google is trying to take their time and come out with Google Fiber, but they looked at Provo, Utah, and said, you know what? Gigabit internet service is coming to Provo, Utah. So if you're living in Provo, Utah, you will be one of the first in the country to get, and I think there's about 115,000 residents existing in Provo right now, according to reports. So being able to get 1 gigabit per second internet speeds. I mean, right now we at Pulse Media, our maximum is 1.4 or 5 megabits. So imagine what you can do with 1 gigabit. You see, that's the point that we're trying to stress when we brought this story out before. This is not just, we're not just talking, 100 megabytes. We're talking 1,000 megabytes per second. Right now, you're getting 1 megabit, 1.5 or so megabits per second as far as internet connection and streaming speeds and stuff like that. 1.5. Google is bringing in 1,000 megabits per second. That's what 1 gigabit is. So that's what the internet is going to be. And if this thing takes on for such an affordable price, $70 to get gigabit internet service, and if you want cable with that, it's $120. I'm telling you, this is going to revolutionize the way that not only people live, but businesses, small businesses. This is going to revolutionize. And if Google keeps moving at this speed, because it took them 6 or 7 months, you know what I'm saying, to go from one location to the next. And now, within just a space of, you know, maybe a few weeks, Google is now, they're setting up in Austin, Texas, and now they're going to Utah as well. I'm telling you, man, this thing, I can't wait for them to come down to Florida. It looks like what they're doing is that they're seeking out areas that have a lot of tech industries in them already. Like a lot of places that have either tech startup companies or established tech companies already, because, you know, they're already going to have the infrastructure already because they're tech related. So Google is figuring that it's going to be easier to integrate gigabit internet into the existing network if they can get these types of companies. So I can't wait for this thing to come to here to Florida, you know, and for us right here at Paul Z Media to be able to enjoy gigabit internet. That's going to be something that's going to be top notch. So for those of you out there that's in Utah, you know, I mean, look, you're living the dream right now. You know, you're living the dream of every tech person, because you're going to get, you don't have it immediately, I understand that, but you're going to get what we all want: faster internet speeds, faster everything, man. So, you know, let's hope that this turns out to be something that we all want to deal with. Now, speaking of one more story as far as Google goes, you know what I'm saying, before we move on, Google had I wouldn't say a press conference, but they had an interview, I guess is the best way to describe it. And they said that they wanted everyone to know that the next series of Google products, whatever that is, the next group of Google gadgets, they say, according to Eric Schmidt, you know what I'm saying? He's one of the people at Google. He said that the next group of gadgets will blow you away, coming from Google. Those were his words. He said, and he's a Google chairman, so he said that he is letting everyone know, he wants people to know that the next set of Google products, because we're already talking about Google Glass, so you know that already. He's saying the next set that we have under development, he said they have a new set of products. This is what he said, quote, that we have a new set of products which are phenomenal, he said. He said they are very, very impressive. So what do you think Google could even be thinking of coming out with as far as to live up to this hype that he's saying now? He didn't say the next set of Google products are pretty decent. He said the next, and we already know about Google Glass, so he couldn't be talking about that because we know that already. He's saying the next set. He said he doesn't want to divulge what's coming, but he just wants to announce and let everybody know that the next set of gadgets that they have on their R&D development floor, he said they will not only blow you away, but the products themselves are phenomenal and very, very impressive. I mean, is there anything that you can think of, Devin, that they could really be coming out with that would live up to what he's saying here? I mean, Google Glass, if he had said that and we see Google, it'd be like, wow. You know, but is there anything that you can think of that Google could be hiding under their belts? Or is this just hype to keep people interested in Google?
It's both, but I think they have something. I think it's phone related.
Oh, you think it's phone related?
Yeah, or tablet related. Some kind of integrating system, you know. Because I'm blown away by how fast this tablet/phone. Because you notice they're getting closer, right?
Right.
They're almost merging phone/tablet.
Right.
And I think it has something to do with that. Some kind of communication system.
Some kind of communication. Yeah. Well, I mean, if Google Glass has shown us anything, it's that Google is innovative. You know what I'm saying? And Google, they know how to bring out a product, and they know how to, you know, to market a product. You know, and so if that's any indication of what they have up their sleeves, I can only say that, man, I can't wait to see what Google has coming down the pipeline. Because if this, and like you say, phone related, I mean, they already have Android. You know what I'm saying? So for them to come up with a phone themselves is not, I mean, is not a far-fetched thought process to think that they can come up with their own phone. As a matter of fact, that is something that, especially dealing with their mobile situation, you know, that's something that Google, you know, really can accelerate at and really can blow up with their Android department that they have already, and the things that they're doing with Android, and the things that, I mean, they took Android, which was supposed to be a camera-based operating system, and they expanded it to not only phones but tablets. You know what I'm saying? And so they've cornered that market. You know, and the only other people that can compete in that is iOS. You know, I mean, Microsoft is done. You know, I mean, they can't come out with a. I mean, their phones in and of themselves, and Nokia and so forth, isn't bad, but they can't. You know, they can't compete with the Windows Tile that they're RT, whatever, Metro, whatever they're calling it. You know, it's just not as good of an experience. You know, and so we have to just wait to see what Google has in mind when they talk about that their next set of products is going to be phenomenal. All I'm saying is that I'm going to be in there. I'm going to be waiting on the wings when they talk about their next products. So now, speaking of Google, let's move over to one of their bigger rivals, which is Apple. And in the news this week, Apple was ordered to remove some content, according to the, I mean, this is back with this feud that seems to be going on between, you know, China and the U.S. And, you know, China is really pointing their arrows at Apple. And Apple was ordered to remove what China considers obscene content from the China store, from the China Apple store. According to a report, Apple said that they apologized to China this month for being, after being criticized for their by their poor customer service. Because remember the news a while back, China accused them of not living up to the laws, the Chinese law, which states that any company that sells electronics must give a 2-year minimum warranty on those electronics, and Apple was only offering a 1-year warranty. And so the Chinese government made some, and this came, just so you kind of know the history a little bit, this came after several U.S. companies went to the government, and Obama, I don't want to say pointed the finger at several, because those companies told the government that they had several security breaches, and they traced the breaches back to China. And so the government then laid sanctions on those Chinese companies, saying that they were no longer allowed to have connections with the U.S. companies, since it was verified that the malicious attacks and viruses came from them. And then China right away fired back and said, oh, okay, well, Apple, you're an American company, right? We don't like what you're doing in our country. You don't like what we're doing? We don't like what you're doing, you know. And so, you know, this back and forth thing has been going on, and now China hits back and say, Apple, you have some obscene stuff in the China store. We want it removed. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know what Apple could have had that the Chinese government is saying obscene.
And Apple. That's probably what it is. They're ridiculous.
They said that
tit for tat.
Tit for tat. But here's what they're saying. They're saying that the National Office Against Pornographic and Illegal Publications named Apple among the 198 websites ordered to remove content in the China store. An Apple spokesperson said recently, but they declined to do any more comment on the thing. The order to delete content in Apple's China online store that offers applications for use on the iPhone, iPad, and stuff like that follows more than a dozen stories in the state-run People's Daily in the past month, accusing Apple of what they call arrogance, poor customer service, and just, you know, poor behavior overall. And then Tim Cook came out on the 2nd of April. He apologized for the warranty situation, and he promised to improve things and get things going. But that didn't seem to be enough. And according to Mark Tanner, founder of the China Skinny, he said, a Shanghai-based research and marketing agency, he said, anyone operating in China on that scale, Apple scale, needs to realize that government regulations are a huge part of doing business in China. These types of campaigns have a lot of sway with Chinese consumers. So what was the content that we know? According to, they say China's is home to more than, obviously, 564 million web users. Because China has a big population, and 564 million of them are web users. And China censors the internet in the country they block access to pornography, gambling, and any kind of thing that would undermine their government or their rule. So they have that control. Whereas we here in the U.S., we might look at it and understand, well, how can you block this or that and whatnot, because we have access to anything. But in China, the government blocks access. So if you heard about a pornographic website and you tried to go to it, it wouldn't come up because the Chinese government has censored all the internet coming into their country. And they're saying that some of the things that Apple has in their store, they didn't say what it is deemed inappropriate by Chinese standards. And when you look at this, you can tell that in the end, no matter how sophisticated, no matter what suits people are wearing, the bottom line is you're dealing with humans. That's the bottom line. Someone does something to me, well, I'm going to do something to you. It just doesn't make any sense why China would be, trying to vilify Apple. Now, I'm not saying Apple is a perfect company. I'm not saying that. But my point is that to make it look like, Apple is trying to purposely leak in any kind of weird or objectionable material in the iStore, in the China iStore, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Apple as a company, in terms of their exclusivity, their whole ecosystem, I don't necessarily agree with it. But at the same time, I can't see that they would be party to something that would be so obscene, that the Chinese government has to make mention of it in all the papers and whatnot and say that Apple needs to just... And although, yes, there are regulations in different countries, yes, but Apple has been in China for a long time. They didn't just yesterday decide, you know what, let's go ahead and try to get some business in China, let's try to do that. No. Apple has been doing business in China and Asian countries for a long time. So I would think that they would know what the regulations are. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't decide, we're going to try to see what we can get away from. I get that. But it just doesn't seem that a company with such high profile would risk their reputation by doing something like that. So to me, it has to be like what Devin said before. It boils down to tit for tat. You did something to me. Your government is saying that they don't want us to do certain things. Yeah, okay, cool. Then you not going to be able to do certain things, in our country. After a while, it can just get ridiculous. So we gotta wait and see and continue to cover this story as things happen. And as far as Apple goes, they also, in other news concerning Apple, they also settled recently this week. They also settled they had a case against them recently for a case dealing with the iPhone. And recently, this week, Apple settled their iPhone, iPod Touch warranty case that we were talking about for, I think it was, there was $53 million is what they settled it for. They reached that settlement because the court said that they didn't, and it's an interesting story because the court said they didn't really live up to their warranty. And this was here in the U.S. Apparently, what happened was that Apple gives warranties for certain things, but if you drop your phone or you dunk it in water, they say that that voids the warranty. And this case was back in 2010 where this guy came in and he said his iPhone didn't work. And the Apple employees said, well, it was because of water damage. They saw water in the parts, and so they refused to fix it, live up to the warranty for free, and all that type of stuff. And the guy took them to court, and what they realized was that one of the parts makers said that the liquid is what they're saying. The liquid that they found in there could have come from condensation, could have come from humidity. It didn't have to be that it was dunked in water or whatnot. It could come from humidity. And when that came out to be an actual fact, then Apple had no choice but to settle the case, because they were saying that, you know, they have a liquid submersion indicator on their iPhone and iPod touches, which turn pink if they are submerged in water. So when they saw that, they said that, well, you submerged this in water, and the plaintiff in the case took their devices, which were still under warranty, into the Apple to be fixed. But Apple said that the indicators are turned pink, so that means you must have dunked it in water and whatnot. You know, but the problem is that when they realized that, or they did the test and realized that it didn't have to be dunked in water, because external liquid submission indicators can be triggered by other types of moisture that should not cause damage in any event, but it can be triggered by other things of moisture, such as, you know what I'm saying, what we said, condensation, or such as, like, let's say they work in a freezer situation, like in a food store warehouse or something, and they have their iPhones on them, they go into the freezer with the iPhone, they come out, and, you know, condensation can build up on the inside as well, and that seems to be what happened. So when they took it in and Apple refused to fix it, they were taken to court, and the result is Apple had to pay them, not pay them, but they settled for $53 million in this settlement case, and I'm sure that covers, like, you know, court costs and stuff like that, you know. But it's interesting how, you know, when we have these companies and they have these warranties, just like we're talking with Google Glass, just like we're talking, you know, and they feel that, you know, they have had it figured, you know, always figured out. And, you know, sometimes these companies, when you go in, they're not really willing to listen to you when you're saying certain things. And they feel, well, we have these indicators, we have this technology, so it had to be that you dunked it in water. And the guy was trying to tell them no. And then their own scientists realized and figured out that, you know what, condensation could have been the problem, why the indicator turned pink. So once that happened, everything was thrown out. It was done. What did you say?
No, I wanted to know if whose fault was condensation.
Well, obviously it was well, but that's the thing, because they're saying they don't know how the condensation goes. The weather changed. Maybe that person lived in a cold area. You know what I'm saying? They came from outside, went inside, and, you know, condensation happened, or they went from inside to outside. I mean, it could have been not just natural causes that caused the condensation. You know what I'm saying? And that's what the courts are saying, that you can't prove how it got in there. You're saying that this indicator shows that it was dunked in water, but what about, could these materials also turn pink, the water indicators? Could they also turn pink if condensation hits it? And Apple had to say yes, it could, if that were the case. So then the court said, well, condensation could be the problem. You don't know that they dunked it, you know, and it's just because Apple put in these sensors, because, you know, a lot of people drop their products everywhere, and then they come in and say, oh, it's still under warranty. And, you know, Apple did that as a preventative measure. But in this case, I guess those people found a loophole in that thing, because now you see that Apple had to fork over a few million to put this case to bed, you see. All right, so we're moving on to our next story, and that is, we're going back to yesterday. We talked about Marissa Mayer in Yahoo, and the job that she was doing over there, that many people kind of at first when she was first there, people kind of said that she was they didn't know how she was going to work out. But I mean, she's there for 9 months, and she's been doing, as far as I can say, and as far as I feel, a good job. And now she's saying that Yahoo is now starting to come out with some products that she feels should be very good. The Yahoo Internet company, which is trying to get rejuvenated now that Maya's in charge, they unveiled today Yahoo Mail for the iPad and Android tablets, along with a new weather app for iPhones, bringing Maya's product launches to light that she promised when she took over the company, that they were going to really come out with some innovative and new things. The Yahoo Mail on tablets will have a magazine-like presentation, allowing people to swipe through emails. If you have a Flipboard or anything like that, it's kind of like that. The app that turns your digital world into a magazine for the tablet. So that's how their mail system is going to work on tablets. They say, more importantly for Yahoo, it'll help the company serve up a more compelling format for display advertising that they've been trying to do. The rebooted internet pioneer on Tuesday reported profit growth of at least 11%, like we told you yesterday that they reported this growth. And now with the coming out of these apps and the coming out of these services, and of course, this is not these are not revolutionary type stuff, but for a company that had been falling, for a company that's been sinking for a long time, to start coming out with to revamp their email service, to come up with a weather app, that's a start. That's a start for such a company that has been really, because Yahoo has been on the ropes for a long time. They've been hemorrhaging money, and they've had, like we said yesterday, a bunch of CEOs come through there. Leave. Myers has been the only one that has stayed more than a few months, and now she's coming up on being there a year so far, and she's now turned the company around. They've made a profit, of over $100 million for the first quarter. I think in 2012 they ended with a 293 or 280 something million dollar earnings sheet, and in the first quarter of this year their earnings sheet was 380 something million dollars. So we're talking about $100 million that they have risen, from the last quarter to this quarter. So clearly they're on the right track. Clearly this is not a fad or something that's just happening. Clearly they are on the uprise, and you have to give credit to Marissa Mayer. And Devin, do you think that Yahoo is on the way back like they used to be back in the days before Google really took over? Do you think Yahoo can capture that same market share again?
No.
So what's going to be? And for those of you who want to kind of see what the new weather app and magazine style that we're showing you, I'm going to show it to you right now. But where do you think Yahoo's future is as far as being an internet giant? Their search engine is still around. I don't know how many people use it. The majority of people use Chrome, Google as a browser. So, and then after that it's Mozilla. So do you think that Yahoo really can gain that market share again, or at least make it competitive? Can they at least stay in business? They're rising on the profit side.
Yeah, they'll stay in business. They'll do okay, but they're really behind on a lot of stuff, because Google and the other guys are not just about internet.
Right.
They're touching many areas of the population.
Like Google Glass and all these phones and whatnot. So do you think that Yahoo is going to try to get into that phone market sooner or later?
Where?
Maybe buy up Nokia, or Nokia is actually with Microsoft, but maybe like HTC or something like that. That's maybe one of those struggling phone companies. They might try to,
Yeah, maybe
you know,
that's
it's a possibility.
That's probably what they need to try to do.
Yeah,
you know.
and then they'll have to come up with an operating system. So I mean, yeah, I hear what you're saying. There's a lot of things that Yahoo is behind on because they've just been poorly managed for so long.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of their engineers, and matter of fact, because of Marissa Mayer, a lot of the engineers that left Yahoo because they saw Yahoo was such a mess, and they went to other companies, are looking to come back. They're seeing that Yahoo is restructured, and I think that's going to be a key for Myers going forward. You know, that's going to be a key because, as you know, we've said already that they purchased Sumly, and that's a company that gives you the guy who created it wrote an algorithm that goes out in the internet and gathers all the news and breaks it down into bite-sized snippets so that you can get your news on the go without being overwhelmed. You know, you don't have to read a 10-page. So with companies like that under their belt, they already have their picture sharing app, Flickr, and stuff like that. They already have things like that. They bought Dailymotion, you know. So they're trying to beef up their products that they offer. You know, their video, they're trying to beef up their video. They're trying to beef up their picture sharing, and then now their news and whatnot, and now they're coming out with a new weather. Okay, I mean, these things may not be exactly exciting, a new weather app and things like that, but what it's showing is that Yahoo is on the way back. That's what it's showing. And it's showing that even though we may look at it and say, well, you know, weather and email, you know, I mean, who really cares about that? But you have to start somewhere. That's one. And if they keep going like they're going, I don't see that they're going to be, you know, a big giant unless they can finagle certain products or finagle their way into certain things. They said that we've designed Yahoo Mail to take full advantage of tablets, making reading your mail faster, easier, and just a little bit more fun with this magazine style. So I'm not saying that these things will get people running back to Yahoo in droves, but at the same time, we have to understand that that this company has come a long way from where they were, you see, and according to reports, Yahoo is already making progress towards boosting user engagement on mobile. In the first 3 months of 2013, the number of monthly mobile active users on Yahoo surpassed 300 million for the first time. The 300 million users in mobile for the first time, and that's up from in January, they only had 200 million. So we see all reports are pointing towards Yahoo is on an upswing. People are starting to realize that Yahoo has something to offer. And I think what Myers is doing is really putting confidence not just in the employees, but in the consumer to want to come back to Yahoo after being away for, you know, for so long. All right, so let's take a quick break and thank one of our dedicated hardcore sponsors, and that is Ultimate Organics. Do you have a desire to give your family the healthiest products possible? At ultimateorganics.net, they have over 11,000 products from home and beauty, pet supplies, to food for you and your family. You know, you can see the level of quality of products that they have by just visiting their website, ultimateorganics.net. Over 11,000 products there to choose from. You won't be disappointed with their selection. Fresh, organically, 100% organically grown products with organic ingredients. Not just ingredients, but organic ingredients. And for those of you who don't understand what organic is, you might say, well, what's organic? You know, organic is a term that not only means natural, but it's meaning that there is no chemicals used to grow. So if you have an organic apple, there was no chemicals used to grow that apple. There was no fertilizers and things like that. Just natural products used to grow that fruit or apple and whatnot. And this is the ingredients that's in the products at Ultimate Organics. So run over to ultimateorganics.net and guaranteed There's something there for you, and we want to thank them for their support of Tech Pulse. All right, so we're back. We're back, and as usual, we're better. And we're going to talk about, go back and talk a little bit about Android. And Amazon's Android App Store is set to roll out or to become available. You see, I mean, a lot of these companies they're not just sticking around and doing one thing. Just like what Devin said, you know, Yahoo really has a lot of catching up to do, because Amazon, they said in a report by PC World, Amazon's Android App Store is gonna be, they're ready to roll it out and available in more than 200 countries. That's right, they're going out in 200 countries. The latest batch of countries to get the App Store, because they're saying that they're going to start going on sale in 200 countries. The latest batch is Australia, Brazil, Canada, Mexico, India, South Africa, South Korea. These are the companies, these are just some of the countries that are going to benefit from Amazon's Android App Store. Some of the strongest growth in app downloads in the first quarter seem to emerge from such markets as South Africa and Brazil, you see. And the App Store can be obviously downloaded and installed on any Android-based smartphone, but the store is also a central part of Amazon's Kindle Fire tablet, as you know, which ship with it installed, you know, when you buy the Kindle or anything like that. So the store's international expansion could also be seen as a precursor to Amazon tablets becoming available in more parts of the world, because Amazon is looking to expand their brand in other parts of the world. And even though the announcement is significant, Amazon just can't rely on global, well-renowned brands. You know, they need to work with local and social networks and work with media owners and stuff like that in Brazil and these different countries if they want to get going. So it's not just releasing your product in the country and just saying it's available, because every culture is different. Every culture does different things with technology, you know, and so they may not respond the same way there. So Amazon is going to have to do a lot of legwork, but I mean, that's a company that definitely is up to it, you know. And if they're taking on this undertaking of releasing in 200 more countries, you know, and starting with Australia, Brazil, Canada, Mexico, South Africa, I mean, Amazon is a big company. But I mean, Devin, do you think that they're trying to do too much too soon with going with all of these countries at once? I mean, should they just take their time, or is it just one of those things where, you know, they're seeing an opportunity, they're just going to seize it, and they're going to, you know, if they're going to take on Australia, Brazil, Canada, Mexico, South Africa, take them on all at once, even though these are all totally different countries, you have to be, you know, you have to go in there and kind of see, you know, how to release the product. You just can't make it available and feel that, you know, that everyone in the country is going to say, oh, Amazon, let me just try it, because, you know, maybe they don't like to read like we do when they go out, or whatever their culture is. Do you think Amazon needs to, you know, slow it down a bit, or are they seeing an opportunity that we're just not seeing?
Yeah, I believe that they must have done the research.
Right.
They must have done that. These guys, you know, they have the funds to dump into research and know what's going on. And I think that's why they're doing it, because the feedback it makes sense.
Right.
So, plus, you know, it's technology. It's not pounding the pavement.
Right.
It's not your typical brick and mortar, you know, type
situation.
So,
right.
Yeah, you know, they can afford to do it, and from a technological point of view, it's doable.
Right.
So yeah.
So they're on the right. They're
on the right. Yeah.
They're on the right track.
Perspective, yes.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what these companies do. You know, these companies, and that's how they expand their brand. So, you know, and I think that this is where Yahoo is going to be headed. They just can't be there yet, because they don't have the same level of funds and pull that they used to have. But trust me, they're going to be there sooner or later. Now let's talk about a cool product, because
whenever you start saying that, I get excited.
Oh yeah, because you know
I'm learning.
We here at Tech Pulse like to, you know, we don't just want to We'd like to talk about the tech news because that's what your, you know what I'm saying, that's your daily life. You know, you might use Yahoo, you use Google. You know, it's good for you to know what these companies are up to. But there was one, a piece of tech that I saw that, you know, was pretty interesting. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, this could be where, I mean, this is just yet another example of where things could go. Now, I don't know, this is not necessarily something brand new, but it is the transparent TV. A TV that's a glass.
Just glass.
Just glass, but it can show, according to the people that developed it, they say that it's able to show and create non-transparent, solid moving picture with rich color reproduction and full contrast range from solid black to pristine white.
It's connected to something.
It has to be. I mean, it's a TV, but I'm sure it has to deal with maybe you send electricity
projector,
through the glass, and
yeah.
You know what I'm saying, it causes it to be, you know. But I mean, this thing looks cool. Let me show the folks at home. This thing looks cool, man. I mean, and if something, I'm sure this is a prototype, you know, so it's not out. But if you get this in your, I mean, this is if you can even really see it right here, you probably can't see it, but you're looking at the TV right there. This is the wall, and you're still seeing the wall over here because that's the TV. Now, when we scroll down, there you can see it right there. You know what I'm saying? A little better. And this is the TV with an image in it. Let me see if I can, we can blow it up a little bit. Yeah, that's as much as this right here, as you can see, is an image. It's the same TV right here, but just with an image in it. Right here is the image of the picture. And they say it can be rich color. And this is shown in broad daylight. In broad daylight with light, as you can see, streaming in. And it doesn't wash the picture out. It doesn't do anything. This is the TV off. Wall TV right here. You can't even barely notice that it's different because the wall looks the same, but the TV is there. And then when you turn the TV on, this right here, this picture right here is what you see. You can't see anything behind it. You can't see this black thing here. This is something behind it. You can't see that. All you can see is the picture.
I like that.
So this is, I mean, this is where a lot of technology is going. A lot of things. We looked at the Parrot drone yesterday, well, a mini version of it, and we're seeing that a lot of things is coming down the pike. There's going to be a lot of times where we have these pieces of technology. So don't be surprised if you walk into your local store and the next thing you see is something like that. You know, I mean, don't be surprised. I mean, because not only do you have that, but guess what? Scientists, just as we're talking about this TV now. Now, think about, for any of you that know nanotechnology. I don't know if any of you out there, I mean, if you're a tech fan, chances are, you know, you're a Star Trek fan as well. There was an episode of Star Trek where, on Next Generation, where Wesley Crusher was doing an experiment with nanites. These are microscopic machines that have the ability to learn. And they got loose in the ship and they came together and formed a collective consciousness, things like that. Science fiction, and what is it? Because a report came out recently that scientists have developed what they're calling, this is what they're calling a robotic ant colony. They created, well, let's not say created, but they created a robotic ant colony that is able to learn from each other. That's what they said. They said that it may seem like a small step, you know, literally for those type of robots, but a team of U.S. scientists claim that they have created a robot ant colony which may end up representing a giant leap for artificial intelligence. What makes the team accomplishment so impressive is that the claim isn't based on robot aesthetics. In fact, these robots they don't look anything like ants. You know, they're square, and you'll see a picture of it, resembling mobile boxes with wheels or something like that and anything. But the magic in these robots, if you will, is their ability to learn. They can learn from each other. And Simon Garner from the New Jersey Institute of Technology, Swarm Labs, which carried out a study and explains that each individual robot is pretty dumb. Each individual robot, can't really do much. With only very limited memory and limited processing power, by themselves, each robot would just move around randomly and get lost and couldn't do anything. But they are able to work together and communicate. And he said that the key to establishing this cooperation in the trails robot leaves, and the trails that these robots leaves as clues, just like with ants. When ants find something, they leave a chemical scented trail that the other ants follow, and that's how they know where to go for food or where to go for anything. And those cues, the other robots follow, just like ants. You see? So this is something that, we're talking small robots like this. Imagine having these robots. Imagine having these robots if you wanted them to learn about or taking care of your house, or not just keeping your house clean, but being able to learn how to fix things. Like something is broken, you set these robots and they can think and learn how to fix things and learn how things work, or if it gets small enough, even make repairs in your body. Individually, they couldn't do much, but collectively, they can make repairs. And that's a picture of the robot right there. That's one of them. You can see the small wheels right here. Right here. Let me see if I can enlarge it for you. Yep, there we go. Let's go down a bit. Yeah, here's the wheel right here. So each of these robots roll around, and by themselves, they're pretty dumb. But collectively, they learn how to work together. I'm telling you, if these things that they can improve on, and these are things that they can bring to the masses, I'm telling you, you're gonna see a lot of cool stuff coming out pretty soon. And a lot of these things have to do with the fact that not only is processors getting smaller, not only is a memory getting cheaper, and larger and smaller. Larger meaning larger memory, smaller size to store that memory, but people are using it in innovative ways, and we can only just wait to see what happens as these things start rolling out. I can't wait to see what happens as these things start rolling. Now let's go on to one of our other stories. When we're talking about things happening and cool stuff, Samsung, as you know, is releasing the Samsung Galaxy S4 coming up here pretty soon. And matter of fact, they're taking pre-orders for it. And they aren't just sitting down and resting on their laurels and saying, well, we got the Samsung Galaxy S4. But they're taking it right to the competition. Samsung Electronics is considering purchasing the mobile memory chips from rival SK Hynix Inc. for future products, including their flagship Galaxy S. Now you might say, well, rival, why are they a rival? Well, because a supply would be a boost. The reason why they're going is because SK Hynix, the supply that Samsung would be a boost, because SK Hynix, they rely heavily on Apple to buy all of their mobile memory chips and things like that. So this also points to tightening chip supplies as mobile gadget makers prepare to upgrade their flagship product lines with greater variety and increased memory capacity. And prices of mobile DRAM memory or DRAM memory chips have increased steadily since early this year, reflecting a tightening in the supply outlook. So Samsung, they're one of the biggest makers of the DRAM chips, have largely depended on internal supplies of memory chips for its Galaxy range smartphones. But the maker has expected that it may also begin looking into outside chip suppliers to ensure that there's no supply disruptions when the Galaxy S4 and that whole line is launched. So we see that Samsung is taking precautions to make sure that when the Galaxy S4 launches, that they can produce enough of these units, because even though they create most of their memory chips internally, but still, they're anticipating that the demand for their Galaxy S line is going to be huge, and they don't want to take any chances. So they're going to a rival chip maker, a chip maker that sells to Apple. And the thing about it is, it's going to be interesting to see what Apple does in response to this, because I mean, Apple is the type of company that they like to have exclusivity, especially when they're dealing with their partners and so forth. And a lot of them they'll just buy, and some of them they just want that exclusivity as it's in a certain market. They want that exclusivity because they want to be able to make sure that they can come out and they don't have any problems when it comes to getting products and stuff like that. So it's going to be an interesting ride to see, in my opinion, to see where Samsung takes this, and to see what Apple's response is to it. Because if Samsung decides to do this and the deal goes through, then we're going to see, I'm sure we're going to see a heated rivalry between Apple and Samsung, because Apple doesn't want to lose chips or lose resources to a rival. I mean, because the Samsung Galaxy S4 has taken the market share from Apple. The Android-based market has always been a big market, but the Samsung Galaxy S series has really upped the ante for Android, and they have taken the market share right away from Apple. Apple is now just 21% of the overall market, while Samsung, the Galaxy S series alone, has 29% of the smartphone market share. So that alone, that's not the Android-based market. That's just Samsung, 29%. So that Samsung alone has more of the market share than Apple. And now they're going to be contracting one of Apple's chip memory makers to make memory for their phone. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens as far as phones go. And speaking of phones, we're talking Nokia. Nokia has a bit of a dichotomy, I guess you could say, because Nokia's sales, and that's to be expected. This shouldn't come as a shock to anybody, but Nokia, their sales are on the decline, and it's not, even though the Nokia Lumina has seemed to pick up, according to reports, but their sales overall are down. According to a report by Routers, they said that a sharp fall in sales of the Nokia's basic phone overshadowed a stronger performance of its Lumina smartphones in the first quarter, rekindling fears over its future and sending its shares tumbling to year lows. The results renewed pressure on the chief executive officer, who was hired in 2010 to turn the mobile phone company around, and it doesn't seem that it's worked. He made the controversial decision at the time to switch to Microsoft's untried Windows software, because Microsoft was looking for somebody, and he made the decision. He figured Microsoft is a big company, so we can't go wrong with that. He made the decision to go with the untried Windows Phone software in early 2011. He said the transition would take about 2 years, a period that it's now over. 2 years has come and gone, and basically he has only the second quarter to really, show some kind of improvement. Now, Nokia said that they sold, about 5.6 million units of the Lumina handset in the first quarter, and that's up from only 4.4 in the previous quarter. But overall, their mobile phone dropped to 21%. The shipment of their mobile phones dropped 21% slumped 21% to 55.8 units, far steeper decline than the 8% fall that the market expected. You see, so it's going to be hard, and especially with Microsoft taking a lot of heat for their Windows 8 and their tile version of Windows 8. They're taking a lot of heat for that, and the Windows Phone market is just not doing as well as Microsoft thought it would do. And so Microsoft came up with this whole campaign about Google and being scroogled and all this stuff, and it's just not working, you know. And now Lumina, you know, the Lumina phone, even though it is doing better, Nokia as a whole is just not, you know, not doing well. Nokia as a whole, the company is not doing well, and you know, the time has come for the CEO who took over in 2010. I mean, it's 2013 now. The time is over for him to really produce, and he's just not doing that. So we're gonna have to wait and see what happens as Nokia tries to, you know, I mean, as Nokia tries to get themselves out of this slump. I mean, I don't know. I don't think that Nokia is gonna be able to really rebound to what they were. Sometimes when you go away for a while and then you try and come back, it just doesn't work. And that seems to be what's happening with Nokia. You know, they used to be a good phone. I used to have a Nokia phone myself. You know, and the Nokia Lumina 900, I mean, it's a good, solid phone. I mean, good features, everything. But the Windows aspect of it just turned a lot of people off, you know, because and very few people really have any Windows phone. I know only one person personally who has a Windows phone. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else is either Android or iOS. So it's tough. It's going to be tough for Nokia.
In this country?
Who, Nokia?
No, the person you know.
Yeah. They are in this country. Yes, they are. So we have to wait and see what happens with Nokia and see if they can really turn these things around. So let's take another quick break, and we want to bring our listeners up to date on something that we at Pulse E-Media are going to be covering in the coming months, and it's an event called Expressions Caribbean American Exhibition, put on by Unique Creations by Liz. And if you want to know more about Unique Creations by Liz, you go to www.uniquecreations.com. There you'll see her website. You'll see all the things that she's has been doing, and especially for this event that's coming up. You know, it's coming up on June 6th. It's going to be from 5 to 9. It's going to be at the Inverary Vacation Resort. They're gonna have cultural entertainment from an island band, reggae, soca, R&B. They're gonna have reggae artists and entertainer. They're gonna have a great saxophonist, Randy Corinthian, and Sons of Maestro for violin, fantastic violin duo, and more. There's gonna be raffles. There's gonna be gifts, great giveaways, fantastic show offers. There's going to be a lot of food. You know what it is at these Caribbean events? I mean, parking is free. Parking and admission is free. You know, and this event has been sponsored by the governor here of Florida. You know, and it's just a good time to be had by all. If you want to call her, her number is 954-292-6848. That's 954-292-6848. 6848. You call her and you know, find out what other events she's doing. This is her website, Unique Creations by Liz, and she is sponsoring one of the sponsors for this event. She does wedding planning. She does, and as you can see here, yeah, that's kind of small. Yeah, as you can see here, that's just some of the stuff that she is involved in. You know, she does weddings, any kind of event. She puts on event, any kind of event that you can imagine. Unique Creations by Liz is at your service. And so Expressions Caribbean American Exhibition, it's the 4th annual event that's happening on Thursday, June 6, 2013, from 5 to 9 p.m. If you're a business and you want to go there and network, call the number 954-292-6848 and let Liz know, and she will coordinate the whole thing for you. So, and for businesses that's going already, Networking will be there from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock, and the event starts at 5 to 9, and there are just all kind of different things that's happening in the event and in the middle of it. So check it out. Unique Creations by Liz at uniquecreations.com, and join us. We at Pulse Media, we're going to be there. We're going to be covering and streaming the event live. You know what I'm saying? To more than 20,000 people are going to be at liberty to see this event. So join us Thursday, June 6th at 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. for some fun, food. I mean, when you put fun and food together, you can't help but have a good time. So we'll see you at Expressions Caribbean American Exhibition, put on by Unique Creations by Liz. And we want to thank them for their support of Pulse E-Media and all the things that we're doing here. So we want to move on to another story that we were looking at, and it's Toshiba. They've come out with a new Ultrabook that, I mean, is pretty powerful. This Ultrabook is known as, they're calling it the Kira book. Now, why did they choose the Kira book? I don't know. I don't know why that's the name that they chose, but that's the name of the Ultrabook that they're coming out with. Now, the specs of the Ultrabook, they say that it has, it's going to have a 2560 by 1440 display, making this the first Windows Ultrabook to support high resolution, because most of the Windows-based Ultrabooks don't support high resolution. The problem is that it's a 13-inch ultra portable, and it's going to start at $1,600. So that's the drawback, you know, with this the Kira book, which will be sold also U.S., Japan, and Australia. And prices, it starts at, like I said, $1,600 and going anywhere to $2,000. It's going to ship out starting May 12th. Pre-orders go on sale at May 3rd, so we're going to have to wait and see. And matter of fact, I'm going to show you a video here of what the Kira book can do. It's better than most resolutions, which is 1366 by 768, you know, 720p panel. You know, everything is sharp. You know, I mean, it looks pretty good as far as it being worth the $1,600. You know, I mean, it's 2.9 pounds. It's very, very light. You know, but at the same time, $1,600. That's kind of a lot. You know, for at least for an Ultrabook with no optical drive, no anything like that. So, you know, let me go ahead and show you guys the video of the Ultrabook so you can see what you know, what we're talking about, what's expected, what's going to happen here. Because, I mean, you know, sometimes talking about it is not as good as hearing about it yourself. So here we are. Oh yeah, through the magic of television, we're able to bring this to you live. This report right here. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Let's listen in on this review of the Kira book.
And it's actually the first in a brand new series of products, as you may have guessed. It's called Kira. So this is a pre-production model, but I thought you would all really appreciate taking an early look at what's easily the most high-end ultra-portable that Toshiba has come out with, especially on the consumer side. So let's start with the unavoidable here. You have this 13.3-inch display here, and it's really stunning. And what really makes it stunning in particular is the resolution. So this is a 2560 by 1440 panel, very comparable to what you'll already find on the Retina line of MacBooks, but you won't really find it shipping, that sort of resolution shipping on other Windows PCs. So it's really great to see a Windows PC manufacturer getting into this space. And you may need to be in person to appreciate it, or maybe not. It is very crisp. You can tell instantly looking at it that this is not a standard 1366 by 768 display.
Which would be a 720p
It's very sharp
display
here, and actually Toshiba is going to be shipping this display utility on the desktop. It's going to make it a little bit easier to scale the size of the text, which is something certain users have complained about on other Windows 8 machines. Just that a high resolution doesn't serve them equally well in every part of the OS, so at least you have that utility to help make the scaling a little bit easier. So now that we've got the display covered, let's talk about the rest of the industrial design. This is magnesium through and through. So it's magnesium here, and it's been painted in such a way that it has a very smooth surface here, and it doesn't appear to pick up either scratches or fingerprints, and that's something that carries over to the bottom as well. You can see the bottom is pretty clean here. You've got this multi-directional fan here and dual speakers, but otherwise it's a pretty clean bottom side. And if we go back to the interior here, I'd be remiss if I didn't show you the keyboard, which has been remodeled over the previous Portagee line of Ultrabooks. Toshiba received some criticism, including from us, about how flat the keys were, how squat they were, so they've been redesigned in part so that they're contoured very slightly up here. So I tried it out. It definitely was a comfortable typing experience. I didn't make one typo in the brief time I was using it. And what's also nice is that the keyboard frame makes it so that there's one with the chassis here, so you really should have less wobble than maybe you would have in previous generations or in other machines. And indeed, when I was typing, it was a very sturdy feel. I should say, by the way, that the touchscreen is optional, so there will be an entry-level model that does not have a touchscreen for those of you who don't want it, but the two additional configurations offered will have touchscreens.
I would suggest you get the touchscreen version.
Let's take a tour of the system here. One thing I should tell you is that this is exceptionally light. So this is actually one of the touchscreen models, and it weighs 2.9 pounds, which, to give you some perspective, is about how much the non-touch 13-inch MacBook Air weighs. If you want the non-touch version of the CuraBook, it's going to weigh 2.6 pounds, so even less. Taking a tour of the ports here, you'll see that you have your power port here. You've got HDMI full size. You've got two USB 3.0 ports. All the USB ports here will be USB 3. They're not painted blue, and that was a specific move on Toshiba's part to just help streamline the design. Nothing on that front side here. If you go here, you'll find one more USB port, audio port, and a full-sized SD slot. A few more things I should note. First of all, you're going to want to know about price and availability. This is going to be available May 4th, I believe. So shortly after you'll be viewing this video. And it starts at $1,600 for a Core i5 version with no touchscreen. Going up to Core i5 with a touchscreen adds $200 to the price. And then if you want Core i7 with a touchscreen, that adds another $200, bringing it to $2,000. For the price, you get standard 2-year warranty with a dedicated customer support line, so separate from all the support line that you would use for any other Toshiba product. And there are certain software features that come standard too. So you have, I believe, a 2-year Norton subscription here, which includes not just Norton Internet Security, but also 25 gigabytes of online storage. It comes with full versions of Adobe Photoshop Elements 11 and also Premiere Elements 11. And in terms of specs, the specs are pretty high-end for the price. So 8 gigs of RAM is standard, so is a 256 gigabyte SSD. So those are not what you would consider standard specs in the industry, but at least for this line of products, that's the bare minimum of what you can expect. So that's pretty good. So we've given you a quick walkthrough here. We've covered the display, the keyboard, the overall design, and should mention battery life. Battery life is expected to be around a little over 6 hours, but of course we'll put the machine through its paces in our full review. So stay tuned for that, and in the meantime, hope you enjoyed this first look.
There you go. That is the Ultrabook. Now, when we're talking about as far as it being worth it, you know, 1,600. Now, for me, anytime, you know, if I'm gonna get any kind of computer, and it's going to cost me $1,600 to $2,000. I'm looking to get an optical drive. I mean, I just can't. I can't spend $2,000 and not get an optical drive. You know, because it just makes it so much more versatile when you have that optical drive there. Ultrabooks. The point of Ultrabooks are supposed to be the new line of netbooks. If you remember netbooks back in the day, which were horrible devices, processors were slow. You know, the memory was cheap. And it just wasn't worth anything. But Ultrabooks are thin, they're fast, and they can take the place of obviously netbooks easily. But they were meant to be basically a souped-up tablet. You know, a tablet with an attached keyboard is basically what an Ultrabook these were really designed to be. However, for $2,000. You know, I like the screen's resolution because you're talking Retina display, so everything is going to be crisp. Those of you that have the MacBook Pro with Retina display, those of you that have that, you know what I'm talking about. Crisp, real life. As a matter of fact, if you have the iPad 4 or 5, iPad 4 right now with Retina display, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, it's so crisp that it appears to be 3D, even though it's not, but it's just so sharp that it appears to be 3D. And this is just, I mean, a beautiful resolution. You won't, looking at it there, it looks like a regular old PC. You're looking at it and you're saying, oh man, yeah, it looks the same. No. Seeing that kind of resolution in person is way different than seeing it through your resolution on your PC, which doesn't have high definition. This is a 2560 by 1440 display. You see, that's high def right there. That's what we call, that's what the Retina display on the Apple is all about. Most resolutions, most screens that you're going to see in any laptop at most is 920 by 768, which is 720p resolution, which isn't bad, but it's nowhere near what this is. You know, as you can see, we're talking, you know, saying double what you're getting here. So as far as resolution, as far as what she's saying with the magnesium alloy case, which is known to resist scratches and fingerprints, it looks clean and all that. $2,000 worth though? I don't know. For me, an Ultrabook, it's supposed to be a cross between a tablet and a PC. So it should be in that mid-range. So if a tablet is, let's say, you know, $300, $400, and let's say a computer is $1,000, $1,500, then the Ultrabook, which doesn't have the memory and the optical drive and the same RAM as a full-blown laptop, should be somewhere in that middle area. But you know, Ultrabooks can be just as expensive as PCs, and if I'm going to spend the same money, I might as well get an optical drive. You know, I mean, yes, it's thin, yes, it's portable, but $2,000? No. They're going to have to show something real crazy for me to say, yes, this Ultrabook is worth $2,000. Because, I mean, you might say, well, I'll just get the cheap model, you know, but to get the Core i7, third generation processor and everything, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? For me personally, no. No, that's not something that I am going to, you know, I mean, I like Ultrabooks, but is that something that I'm going to buy or sign off on? No, I don't think so. It's just too expensive for, you know, what you're getting, you know. But now, let's shift to a different dichotomy. We've been talking a lot about computers and things like that here on Tech Pulse. Let's shift to television. Let's shift to television because in a report that came out this week, the Dish Network made a bid of $25.5 billion for Sprint. Yes, Dish Network is looking to acquire a Sprint and looking to get faster and in the battle, because you know a lot of companies like what Sprint have to offer. In the battle for Sprint's heart, if you will, Dish Network always seem to be stuck in that friend zone. You know it is. You know when you trying to date a girl or you like a girl or whatnot, and she says, "Oh, we're friends." Right away, you know it's over. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to move in, and the girl just sees you as a friend. It's over, man. And that's how Dish Network had always been with Sprint. You know, Dish Network always had been trying to, you know, hook up with Sprint and make that deal. But Sprint was like, yeah, man, yeah, you're a good friend, but, you know, that's it. You know, but that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. However, now that Dish has quietly lobbied for an informal $25.5 billion bid to purchase the carrier, the Wall Street Journal reported that after Dish was knocked back in its attempts to buy Clearwire, the satellite TV company scrounged together enough cash to beat SoftBank, which was also trying to get Sprint to beat SoftBank to get the Sprint as a carrier. Now, my question is, what do you think Dish is going to do with such a merger? You know, I mean, everybody knows Dish is satellite. We know that already. We know that Sprint deals with mobile phones and so forth. I mean, what can this merger bring? I mean, are we going to see Dish Network content on Sprint devices? I mean, what do you think this merger can bring to the masses? I mean, are we going to see 4G speeds when it comes to download internet service? I mean, what do you think this is going to bring to the table, Devin? Do you think this is going to be anything? I mean, they're offering $25.5
Let me
billion.
tell you what it's going to bring.
What is it going to bring?
Bad reception and bad weather. That's what it's going to bring. Reception is going to be affected by weather. They'll be coming up. Yeah.
So when you're on the phone, if it rains, you're out of luck.
Hang up. That's exactly what it's going to be.
Drop calls have just become bigger.
Yeah. I'll call you back. It's about to rain.
But I mean, for Dish to offer $25.5 billion, I mean, it must be that they have some serious plans in mind. They didn't really say what their plans are or, you know, what they're going to be doing. But I mean, is there anything that we can speculate to say, well, maybe they're going to, is Dish going into the phone business, or is this has something to do, are they looking to bring, because remember, a lot of companies like Netflix, because remember, Aereo is trying to make a deal with Dish and with DirecTV so they can bring, they can have internet streaming, they can stream all of the content on the go. You know, Aereo is that device that you can stream on the go, and wherever you want to go, you can call up any amount of content you want. And they're trying to get that deal with Dish, and they're trying to get that deal with DirecTV, and you know, so that people can stream that content, all the channels that Dish and Direct have, stream it on the go wherever they want. That's what Aereo is trying to do. Now, Dish themselves are saying, we want to try and get a deal with Sprint. I mean, what is there a merger between TV and phone? I mean, are they trying to bring content to people's phone? I mean, I don't see where this merger. I'm trying to understand where this merger really can benefit either company, you know, and really make sense to say, yeah, that's a good move because Sprint needs something like that, or Dish needs something like that.
Let me ask you something. When content is deliverable to phones right now,
right,
without the originator of the content, like Dish,
right,
so Dish is really on the outside,
looking in, right.
So maybe they're thinking that if they combine or get connected with a phone service, that they will at least compete, even limited,
right,
on a limited level, at least with their customers,
right.
Unless, at least with the customers of the mobile company.
Right. You mean like Sprint?
Like Sprint.
Right.
So they're saying, well, you won't need a rabbit, you won't need this,
right,
you won't need that, because you're going to get the content directly anyway.
Right.
So why do you need to forward it?
Right.
All you have to have is an account with it.
All you have to have is an
and that's where they're all going.
That makes sense. You know, I agree with, because rather than a Rabbit TV coming to you or an Aereo coming to you and saying, well, you know, I mean, and that can be something else in terms of Just like NBC is on Dish, NBC is on DirecTV, NBC is also on Comcast. They're on all these different, they sell their product to all these different networks. It's nothing like having control of it yourself. So if this company is doing something that you don't like, you know what I'm saying, you don't have to necessarily bow to their will and say, well, there's nothing I can do because if they stop carrying me, I'm not going to make any money. By having your own streaming service, if you will, by not only being able to come into people's homes through satellite, but by also being able to get access to that internet, crowd that everything is going on, because now you're able to deliver content not just on people's phones, but anyone that has a Sprint service. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be surprised if Dish Network came up with if this merger goes through, with either Sprint or Dish comes up with a streaming device that they are putting their content on. Like maybe Sprint will come up with a streaming device, a streaming box, and you have Dish Network content on it. You know what I'm saying? To where you can stream these things over the internet and stuff like that, go wherever you want, and use Dish's DVR service to go ahead and record your programming and all this different type of stuff. I mean, a lot of companies, we're seeing it over and over again. The more we try and read these things, we're seeing more and more that a lot of companies are merging and coming together, trying to build and trying to compete in this internet age that we live in, because it's not just over the air anymore. You're watching us right now on Pulse E Media over the internet. This is where a lot of programming, a lot of things are going, and that's why cord cutting is becoming so popular, because people are realizing that, hey, why should I be tethered to my house at 8 o'clock, to watch whatever it is that's coming on? Why should I be tethered to that? Why can't I just be able to say, you know what? I need to be on the go. I need to be here. I need to go here. Why can't I just be able to go where I want to go and watch what I want to watch when I want to watch it? And that's what's happening to a lot of companies. And it started with Netflix. It started with Netflix when they started their movie business. They started out as a movie, like a replacement for Blockbuster type thing. You got your movies through the mail. They started out as that, and then they realized that there was value in streaming movies to people's houses without them having to go out, no tapes, no nothing. You just stream it. And now this whole Netflix empire was built, on streaming, and Sprint and Dish seem to be trying to work something out to make that happen. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes of that merger. Will we see a Sprint streaming device in stores, or a Dish Network streaming device in stores? We're going to have to wait and see. But as far as Netflix goes, according to a report that came out this week, Netflix is looking to drop Silverlight in favor of HTML5 for its browser-based streaming service, in part because Microsoft is ending support for its video plugin by 2021. So Netflix is looking to get out of that. In a blog post, Netflix said Silverlight provides a high-quality streaming experience and let us easily experiment with improvements to our adaptive streaming algorithms. But with Redmond ending Silverlight support in the next 8 years, we need to find a replacement soon. That's what he said. And even if Silverlight was sticking around, the platform has its drawbacks that many of you may not know. Customers are required to install a browser plugin. For anyone that uses Silverlight, you have to install that browser plugin in order to watch Netflix content using Silverlight. And some people, are hesitant to do so, because you don't always want to be downloading everything onto your computer, security concerns, what kind of a memory hog do these things have. And Silverlight is also not compatible with certain browsers. So if you like to use Safari or an iOS, or even Windows 8, Silverlight is just not. So if you have a newer machine with Windows 8 on it, or you're an Apple enthusiast, Silverlight is not compatible with that, and Netflix realizes that. So Netflix said they're going to go to HTML5. They said that for the last year, Netflix has been collaborating with industry partners in order to find the best way to play premium content on any browser. You know what I'm saying? And one of those partners that Netflix was looking at is, guess what? Your old buddy Google. That's right. Netflix and Google have been talking, and Netflix has started using HTML5 premium video extension in Chrome on the Samsung ARM-based Chromebook, because you know Google came out with the Chromebook, and they've been using that HTML5 platform, and they were experimenting with a couple of other technologies. Netflix media source extensions, which lets Netflix download audio and video content from the content library of networks that it has, and they feel that HTML5 gives them that flexibility they need to stay competitive. Because with Silverlight and a lot of machines, you know, Microsoft really pushing this Windows 8 and machines coming out with Windows 8 and stuff like that. And if they want to really expand, now Netflix is available on iOS devices. So don't think that you buy and you're saying that, well, I can watch Netflix on iOS devices. Yes, but if you're using your regular computer or your MacBook or whatever it is, and you like to use the Safari browser, like all of us have our favorite browsers that we like to use, and if something doesn't work on it, sometimes you tend to more just not use that product rather than use a different browser. Netflix is realizing that. They're realizing the limitations that Silverlight have, even though Silverlight does streaming, you know, pretty well, but they want to appeal to a broader market. And like we just said, like we just talked about Sprint and Dish, you know, working together. We're talking the same about Netflix realizing that they have to stay competitive. They have to be in as many products and devices as possible. And with the limitations, that's what I'm looking for, the word I'm looking for, that Silverlight has, you know, Netflix is just like, you know what, we can't. And then Microsoft is looking to drop Silverlight by 2021. Now that's a ways away, but Netflix is not willing to wait until that time. They want to start doing something different now, because in the end, they have to realize that if they're going to compete, then they need to keep things moving. They can't have any interruptions. They can't, because it's so volatile right now, especially with Hulu and Hulu Plus and different streaming devices, Vimeo and places like that, Amazon video streaming service. There's a lot of streaming services out there, and if Netflix is hindered in any way, it could really dampen what Netflix is trying to do, especially since they're moving forward and moving to HTML5. And the important for someone like Netflix, like we say, which wants to be on as many platforms as possible. When you have things like Windows 8, and a lot of machines, a lot of tablets have Windows 8 browsers on them, you want to be able to play smoothly on any device possible, especially you want to capture people. And HTML5 has matured to the point where most of the industry is really moving towards HTML5 anyway, as opposed to Silverlight. So Netflix is really on the ball right there, and you know that's what these companies are doing. So if you're a Netflix fan, you know Netflix is really working. From what I see here, Netflix is really working to make sure that they can provide the most, the best streaming service possible, you know what I'm saying, that they can. And whereas people like Microsoft, kind of fluttering and spinning their tires right now real quick, you have smaller companies like a Netflix that's trying to make sure that they stay competitive in this world of competitive technology. Because in the technological world, I mean, it's a dogfight, and people, there is no loyalty, there's no honor among thieves when it comes to this technological world. And Netflix partnering up with Google for their Chromebook, I mean, they couldn't have a better backer than someone like Google, because I mean, Google, from what we're seeing right now, Google is basically on top in what they're doing. All right, so let's take another quick break to mention something that we here at Tech Pulse are going to be a part of in the coming months, and that is Unique Creations by Liz presents Expressions, a Caribbean American exhibition. Yep, Unique Creations by Liz. She does weddings, event planning of all kinds, anything like that. We had her on the show on Tuesday, and she was excited to be a part of Pulse E-Media. And we here at Pulse E-Media, we're going to be covering the event. We're going to be covering the event live as it happens, and these are just some of the things that she's a part of. Yeah, these are some of the things that you can see that she does. I mean, look at these designs. Look at these creations. I mean, this is what she specializes in. Any kind of event, graduations, you know, weddings, you know, any kind of thing. I mean, look at the quality of what she's offering here. And she's putting on Expressions, a Caribbean American exhibition on June 6th of this year from 5 to 9. That's a Thursday from 5 to 9 p.m. And it's a multicultural showcase of Caribbean and American international products and services. So, you know, there's going to be great food. There's going to be great businesses that's going to be there, both from Caribbean and American. This is the fourth annual Expressions Caribbean American exhibition. This has been endorsed by the governor of Florida as well. So this is not just a fly-by-night situation. This is a real, she has real unique creations, unique creations by Liz. And as a matter of fact, if you want to visit her website that you see here, the URL is www.uniquecreations.com. And should you want to call Liz to use her service or to be a part of the Expressions Caribbean American exhibition, the phone number is 954-292-6848. That's 954-292-6848. And there is an alternate number, 954-435-4717. Parking and admission is complimentary and of course free. They're going to have raffles, prizes, great giveaways, fantastic show offers, a lot of delectable food. You can enter a chance to win a weekend getaway at the Renaissance Hotel, several dinners for two, baskets with Caribbean products, gift certificates. It's just going to be a fun, good time. There's going to be reggae, soca music, R&B, oldies. They're going to have Randy Corinthian, a great saxophonist. You're going to have the Sons of Maestro, that fantastic violin duo. So for people that, if you're a music lover, there's going to be music, there's going to be network, there's going to be food, there's going to be fun. Join us at the Expressions Caribbean American Exhibition, June 6th, 2013, Thursday, 5 to 6 p.m. And visit uniquecreations.com to see the things that Liz is doing with this fantastic company. And we'd like to thank her and the event for their support of Pulse E-Media. Well, we've come to the end of yet another Tech Pulse. It's been an exciting show. It's been a show where, you know, we've covered a lot of topics just like we always do. And just like we always do, we're going to come back on Monday with another set of products, with another set of tech stories and all types of, whatever you're looking for. We're going to be able to come back with that, and we hope that you will join us on Monday, where we'll have more tech stories for you. As usual, my name is Hartley Reginald Smith II, incomparable, and we'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend. Peace!